Get ready to swirl and sniff, because today we're taking a deep dive into Chilean wine.
Chilean wine, yeah.
Specifically, the Vel de Maipo.
Ooh, Val de Maipo. Excellent choice.
You'll understand why this valley, it's south of Santiago, is the heart of Chilean winemaking.
It's really something special.
And we'll get into why Cabernet Sauvignon is just so
But
perfect.
we're not just talking Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah, well,
We're gonna unearth some hidden gems like Carmenere,
oh yeah,
a grape with a very interesting comeback story.
I love those.
And you'll taste the Andes Mountains in every sip. Seriously.
Okay, now I'm intrigued.
It's all about the terroir.
Tasting the mountains, how is that even possible?
Yeah, it's this unique combination of soil, climate, and those majestic Andes Mountains. They create a very specific flavor profile you won't find anywhere else.
So it's unique to the region?
Absolutely. Think Cabernet Sauvignon,
Okay.
but with a hint of eucalyptus or mint.
Okay, so we're talking history, we're talking terroir, grapes, what else?
I think by the end of this deep dive, you'll be able to impress your friends with your Maipo knowledge.
All right.
You might even be able to pick out a bottle like a pro.
Okay, challenge accepted.
All right.
So first, let's set the scene.
Okay.
Imagine yourself in a valley,
Okay.
nestled between the Andes Mountains and the coastal range just south of Santiago.
That's the Val de Maipo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like a giant cradle for vineyards.
And it's been a winemaking hub
It has, since the 1500s.
since the 1500s.
Yeah, practically as old as Santiago itself.
Wow, that's some deep-rooted history there.
It is.
I'm guessing that the wines back then were a bit different from what we sip today.
You are absolutely right. In
Yeah.
those early days, it was all about the Pays grape.
Yeah.
Think of it as the workhorse grape,
Okay.
used for simple, everyday wines.
So when did things start to get a little fancier?
The 19th century
Okay.
was a game changer.
Okay.
A few visionary Chileans, driven by a passion for quality,
Yeah.
they traveled to Europe and brought back noble French grape varieties,
Okay.
like Cabernet Sauvignon,
Right.
Merlot, and you guessed it, Carmenere.
There it is.
There it is.
So they kind of planted the seeds for what Maipo is known for today?
I would say they did more than plant the seeds.
Okay.
Those pioneers,
Okay.
families like Cousinho,
Okay.
Subercaseaux, Errázuriz, they weren't just planting grapes, they were planting the future of Chilean wine.
Wow. It's amazing how just a few families can shape an entire industry.
I know, it's pretty incredible.
But hold on.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a global event
Oh, yes.
that also played a role in Maipo's success?
You're talking about phylloxera,
Yes.
that devastating vine pest that ravaged European vineyards.
Yeah, in the late 1800s.
Yeah, the late 1800s.
Wiped out so many vineyards. So how did Maipo escape that?
Well, you know what? Chile's isolation was a
Why?
blessing in disguise.
Oh.
The Andes Mountains acted as this giant shield protecting those vineyards from the phylloxera epidemic.
So while Europe was struggling to rebuild,
Exactly.
Chile was able to kind of step up to the plate.
It's like a plot twist in the history of wine.
Right.
And Maipo, with its newly planted French grapes,
Yeah.
was perfectly positioned
Yeah.
to meet that global demand for wine. It was their time to shine.
And fast forward to today, and we have this mix of tradition and innovation in Maipo.
We do.
They took the best of both worlds and created something really special.
And speaking of special, let's talk about what really sets Maipo apart. The terroir.
Okay, terroir time.
Terroir time.
You mentioned earlier that you could taste the Andes in the wine.
You can.
I want to unpack that. How does the landscape shape the flavor?
Just imagine the Andes Mountains as this giant wall. They shield the valley from harsh weather,
Okay.
and they create a semi-arid climate that's just perfect for growing grapes.
Okay.
It's hot and dry in the summer, cool and wet in the winter, which grapes love.
Right. And I've also heard about those dramatic temperature swings in Maipo.
Yeah, up to 20 degrees Celsius.
That's a big swing. What's the big deal about those swings?
They're like a secret weapon for flavor development.
Okay.
The hot days allow the grapes to ripen fully, while the cool nights help them retain that acidity and freshness.
So it's like the grapes get the best of both worlds.
They do.
Right.
Absolutely.
And those Andes Mountains aren't just a pretty backdrop.
They're not.
They play a role in the soil, too.
They do. We're talking about those famous alluvial soil.
Alluvial.
Alluvial, you got it.
So over millennia, the Maipo River and its tributaries
Yeah.
have carried down mineral-rich sediment from the Andes Mountains down into the valley, right?
Exactly. Creating these incredibly fertile well-drained soils that are perfect for grapevines.
So we've got the Andes for protection and soil.
Mm.
We've got the Pacific Ocean for the cooling breezes. And then those alluvial soils for drainage. It's like a dream team for grape growing.
It is. It is.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. Within the Maipo Valley,
Oh, yeah?
you have 3 distinct subregions,
Great.
each with its own personality.
They do. It's like the valley has its own little neighborhoods,
Okay.
each with its own vibe.
So we got Alto Maipo.
Alto Maipo, nestled up in the Andean foothills, that's the coolest one, and has the rockiest soils.
Okay.
Think of it as the rugged, adventurous type. This is Cabernet Sauvignon territory.
Right.
This is where it produces those wines with the serious structure and elegance.
And then there's Maipo Medio.
Maipo Medio, yeah, the middle child.
Yeah, right. Smack dab in the middle.
You could say that, yeah, it's more temperate and has deeper soils.
Okay.
It's where Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Carmenere all play nicely together.
Right.
They produce wines that are a bit softer and rounder.
Okay, and so if Alto Maipo is the bold one, Maipo Medio is the smooth operator.
I like that.
What about Maipo Costa?
Maipo Costa, that's the cool coastal kid influenced by those Pacific Ocean breezes.
Right.
A bit cooler. And has these mineral-rich soils that are perfect for white grapes,
Right.
like Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay,
Okay.
as well as lighter-bodied reds.
So it sounds like Maipo has something for everyone.
It does. It really does.
So we've covered the history, the dramatic landscape, and these distinct subregions.
Yes, we have.
Now I'm ready to dive into the grapes themselves.
Let's raise a glass to that.
Let's do it.
All right.
Cheers. All right, bring on the grapes.
Let's talk grapes.
We know Cabernet Sauvignon is king in Maipo, but what makes it so special there?
Well, it's like,
Yeah.
Cabernet Sauvignon went on vacation to Maipo and decided to stay forever.
I like that.
Yeah.
So why is Maipo its happy place?
I think the terroir plays a huge role.
Okay.
Remember those hot days and cool nights
Mm-hmm.
and well-drained soils we talked about? They're like a spa day
Right.
for Cabernet Sauvignon grapes, allowing them to ripen slowly and develop intense flavors.
So it's not your average Cabernet Sauvignon.
It's not, no.
What should I be looking for when I'm sipping a Maipo Cabernet?
Okay, so imagine those classic Cabernet notes you love, like black currant, blackberry, plum, maybe some cedar and tobacco.
Okay, yeah.
But here's the kicker.
Yeah.
Maipo Cabernet Sauvignon often has this unique herbal note,
Okay.
almost like eucalyptus or mint.
It's like a little taste of the Andes Mountains in every glass.
It is. It's that special something that Maipo brings to the table.
Yeah.
And don't forget the structure. Firm tannins, good acidity, full body. It's a wine built to age gracefully.
Now let's talk about Carmenere.
Okay.
I'm fascinated by its comeback story. It's like the Cinderella grape of Chile.
It really is.
Yeah.
It was almost lost to the world.
Yeah.
Mistaken for Merlot for centuries. Can you imagine?
It's a good thing someone finally realized it was something special, so what happened?
In the 1990s, DNA testing
Oh, wow.
revealed that a lot of what Chileans thought was Merlot was actually Carmenere. Talk about a game changer.
So they rediscovered this lost treasure,
Mm-hmm.
and it turns out Maipo is kind of Carmenere's ideal home.
It is a match made in wine heaven.
All right.
Maipo's warm, dry climate allows Carmenere to ripen fully, which is crucial for this grape.
Yeah.
If it doesn't ripen properly, it can have those green, unripe flavors.
Okay, so Maipo coaxes out the best in Carmenere.
It does.
So give us the tasting notes. What should we be looking for?
Think ripe red and black fruits, plums, blackberries, cherries.
Okay.
But it's not all fruit bombs.
Right.
You've got spice, black pepper, paprika, maybe even a hint of cloves.
Okay.
And then there's that signature herbal note, sometimes like green bell pepper, even a touch of eucalyptus.
Wow, it's a whole spice rack in a glass.
It is. And I bet it's amazing with food.
Oh, yeah, I bet Carmenere's super food friendly, right?
Oh, you're right on the mark.
Yeah.
Think spicy dishes, grilled meats, hearty stews. It can handle it all.
So we've covered the big players, Cabernet Sauvignon and Carmenere.
Mm-hmm.
But Maipo makes some great Merlot too, right?
Absolutely. Merlot is like that easygoing friend who fits in anywhere. It's happy in a variety of soils and climates, and in Maipo it produces these soft, juicy wines that are just plain enjoyable.
Okay, so no drama, just good wine. What does Maipo Merlot taste like?
Picture ripe plums, cherries, blackberries, maybe with hints of chocolate, coffee, or tobacco.
Right.
It's got those soft tannins and a medium body.
Yeah.
Very approachable and satisfying.
It's a team player too, right? I've seen it in a lot of Cabernet Sauvignon blends.
You've got a good eye.
Yeah.
Merlot is often blended with Cabernet Sauvignon
Okay.
to smooth out those tannins and add a little roundness and fruitiness.
Yeah, like the yin to Cabernet Sauvignon's yang.
I like it.
Now, what about Syrah? I feel like it doesn't get as much attention
Does it?
as the other grapes we've talked about.
Syrah is like the dark horse of Maipo.
Oh.
It might not be as widely planted,
Okay.
but it makes some seriously impressive wines.
So why is Maipo a good place for Syrah?
Well, Syrah loves warmth,
Okay.
and it thrives in those sunny conditions. It produces these powerful, peppery wines that can age beautifully.
I'm officially intrigued.
Good.
Paint us a picture of a Maipo Syrah. What's it all about?
Imagine black pepper.
Okay.
Dark, brooding fruits like blackberry and plum,
Okay.
and then a whiff of violets.
Oh, nice.
It's got the savory side, too.
Okay.
Think cured meats, smoke, maybe even a hint of leather.
It's like a wine with a mysterious past.
I like it.
What kind of food would you pair with that?
Syrah loves a challenge.
Okay.
Think grilled lamb,
Okay.
hearty beef stew,
Yeah.
anything with bold flavors that can stand up to its intensity.
Maipo really does have a grape for every taste.
It does.
And we can't forget about the white wines.
Oh, you're right.
Right.
While Maipo is known for its reds, there are some pockets of white wine wonder,
Yeah.
especially in those cooler coastal areas.
We're talking Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay, right?
Those are the stars, and they get that special Maipo touch, too.
So it's not your average Sauvignon Blanc or Chardonnay. What's the Maipo twist?
The Sauvignon Blancs often have that vibrant citrus and grassy character, but with this extra layer of minerality from those coastal soils,
Okay.
think of it as a Sauvignon Blanc with an edge.
Okay, and the Chardonnays.
They tend to have those classic tropical fruit and citrus flavors,
Okay.
but with this crispness and elegance that makes them stand out. Some winemakers even experiment with oak aging, which adds another layer of complexity. Vanilla, spice, and a creamy texture.
So it sounds like Maipo Chardonnay has it all going on.
It does.
Yeah.
Whether you crave bold reds, crisp whites, or something in between, Maipo has you covered.
That's fantastic.
And it's not just about the grapes themselves. It's
Right.
the way they're grown that makes a difference.
Okay, let's get into the vineyard action. What are some of the practices that make Maipo wines so unique?
Attention to detail
Okay.
is the name of the game here.
Right.
It all starts with pruning.
Okay.
And you'll often see a technique called cord and spur pruning. It's like giving the vines a haircut. That encourages them to produce fewer but more flavorful grapes.
So quality over quantity.
Exactly.
I like that approach.
Yeah, and then there's trellising,
Okay.
which is how the vines are trained and supported.
Right.
In Maipo, vertical shoot positioning is popular. It's like giving the vines a yoga class,
I like it.
helping them reach for the sun and get good airflow.
So I can picture those perfectly aligned rows of vines soaking up the sun and breezes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's pest and disease control.
Okay.
Thankfully, Maipo's dry climate helps keep those issues at bay,
Right.
but they still practice integrated pest management, which is all about being proactive and minimizing the use of harsh chemicals.
Working with nature, not against it.
That's the key.
Right.
Even leaf management plays a role.
Okay.
By carefully removing some leaves around the grapes, they allow for better sun exposure and air circulation,
Okay.
which promotes even ripening and helps prevent disease.
It's amazing how much thought goes into every aspect of the vineyard.
I know.
And then there's irrigation.
Okay.
Remember, Maipo's a semi-arid region,
Right.
so water is precious.
Yeah.
Drip irrigation is common here. It's like giving the vines a slow and steady drink,
Okay.
delivering water directly to the roots.
Very precise.
Very precise way of managing water.
And they even use water stress to enhance the flavors, right?
Yeah, it sounds a bit counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but by carefully controlling the amount of water the vines receive at specific times,
Yeah.
they can actually intensify the flavors in the grapes.
Interesting.
It's like a little tough love that produces amazing results.
I've heard these wines described as having concentrated flavors, and now I understand why.
It's all about finding that delicate balance between what the vines need and what brings out the best in the grapes.
Right.
And there's a growing emphasis on sustainability in Maipo, too.
I'm glad to hear that. What kind of sustainable practices are they implementing?
You'll see organic farming, biodynamic methods, water conservation efforts, and even the use of renewable energy sources. Oh, wow.
It's a holistic approach,
Yeah,
recognizing that what's good for the environment is ultimately good for the wine.
it's a virtuous cycle. They're taking care of the land. The land is rewarding them with exceptional grapes.
Exactly. It's a beautiful thing to see.
So we've talked about the unique grapes, the meticulous vineyard practices, the influence of the Andes and the Pacific. Now I'm ready to see how it all comes together in the winery.
Let's head into the cellar and see how those grapes transform from tiny berries into delicious wines.
Okay, we're in the cellar, surrounded by barrels, and that aroma of fermenting grapes. This is where the magic happens. So to take us through the process, how do these Maipo grapes become the wines we love?
You can think of the winemaker as a conductor orchestrating a symphony of flavors.
Okay, I like that. And for red wines, the first movement starts with the harvest, right?
Exactly. Timing is everything the winemaker has to decide when the grapes are perfectly ripe, you know,
Okay.
based on the style of wine they're aiming for.
So there's a lot of decision making even before the grapes get to the winery.
Oh, absolutely. And for those top-tier Maipo wines, you'll often see hand harvesting.
Oh, wait.
It's more labor-intensive, but it allows them to select only the best grapes.
So it's like quality control right in the vineyard.
You got it. And once those hand-picked grapes arrive at the winery, they're destemmed and gently crushed to release the juice, or what's called the must.
And then the party starts right.
Yeah.
Fermentation time.
That's where the real transformation begins. Yeast, either natural or added, gets to work converting the sugar in the grape juice into alcohol.
And that process also creates those amazing aromas that fill the cellar.
Exactly. It's a symphony of science and nature working together.
Now, I've heard that temperature control during fermentation is really important. Why is
Once
that?
that temperature affects everything, the extraction of color, tannins, and aromas, it's a very delicate dance.
Yeah.
The winemaker has to find that sweet spot for the style of wine they're crafting.
So they're kind of conducting the fermentation process.
That's a great way to put it. After fermentation comes maceration, which is all about letting the grape skins hang out with the juice for a while.
Okay, I'm guessing that's where those rich colors and tannins come from.
You are absolutely right. The longer the skins stay in contact with the juice, the more intense the color and tannins will be.
Okay.
It's another decision the winemaker makes based on their vision for the wine.
Finding the right balance.
Exactly. After maceration, the wine is pressed to separate the juice from the solids, and then often comes malolactic fermentation.
Okay, break that down for me. What's malolactic fermentation all about?
Think of it as a softening process. It converts malic acid, which is naturally present in grapes and can be a bit tart, into lactic acid, which gives the wine a smoother, rounder feel.
So it's like taking the rough edges off.
You could say that, and then comes aging, where those iconic oak barrels come into play.
Ah, oak barrels. I love seeing those stacked in the cellar. What role do they play?
Oak barrels are like a spice rack for wine, you know?
Okay.
They add complexity aromas and even a bit of texture. They can impart flavors of vanilla spice toast. It all depends on the type of oak and how long the wine spends in the barrel.
And I've heard about French oak and American oak. What's the difference?
French oak tends to be more subtle and elegant, adding notes of spice cedar, and vanilla American oak is a bit bolder with flavors of coconut dill and sweeter spices.
So it's another decision the winemaker have to make.
It is.
Like what kind of oak will best complement the wine?
Exactly. And they also have to decide how long to age the wine in oak. Some wines spend months in barrels, others years. It's all part of the art of winemaking.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else that happens in the winery before the wine is ready for its grand debut?
Yes. Usually there's clarification and filtration to remove any remaining sediment. It's like polishing the wine before it goes out into the world.
And then finally, bottling.
Bottling protects the wine from oxygen and allows it to continue to age and develop. It's the final step in a long and intricate process.
We've really covered it all. History, terroir, grapes, vineyard practices, and now this fascinating journey from grape to bottle.
It's a testament to the dedication and passion of the people who make Maipo wines so special.
The next time I'm sipping on a Maipo Cabernet Sauvignon, I'll be thinking about those Andes mountains, those careful vineyard practices, and the winemaker's artistry.
And you might even catch a whiff of eucalyptus or mint a reminder of that unique Maipo terroir.
I will definitely raise a glass to that. This deep dive into Valley do Maipo has been an incredible journey. Thanks for being our guide.
Cheers to that. It's been my pleasure to share my love for Maipo wines with you.
And to all of our listeners, we hope you enjoyed this exploration of Valley do Maipo. Until next time, happy exploring.